you,
Yeah,
Shedeur
yeah.
Sanders. I saw him as a freshman at Jackson State. I said, wow, he got poise. He stood in the pocket. He
Very
could move.
poised.
He ran. He stayed. He ran when he had to. He threw. He stayed as long as he could. And he was dropping balls in on that window. Very nice as a freshman at Jackson State. And I was saying that, I said, man, this guy, if he keeps playing the way he's playing in his freshman year, this guy's going to be a good pro quarterback. And I think the whole world kind of woke up last week just because he's playing at a mainstream college. You could see it his freshman or sophomore year that this guy is an NFL candidate. And now all of a sudden, oh, wow, this guy might be able to leave after his junior year. I said, oh, now just because he's playing at Colorado, you're saying that the guy had all the same skill set. He put up large numbers at Jackson State. You say, oh, the competition. Hey, man, if you're putting ridiculous numbers up against anybody, you got to have technique. You got to have poise. You got to have the skill set. And he's got the same skill set that I saw him play for Jackson State. And take you before that, I go back to 2011 at the Super Bowl in Dallas, Texas, the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Green Bay Packers. That weekend, someone came by our table when we do our interviews on Radio Row, told us they had a football game that afternoon. Me and Jerome Davis went out there. We went on the field at this high school stadium, which looked like a big, in Dallas, those stadiums are big. So we went to this high school stadium. We went out on the sidelines. It was the Snoop Bowl. It was Deion Sanders' team versus Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg flew his team in from California. He had his coaching staff, and Snoop Dogg was more of a consultant. He wasn't one of the coaches per se, or he wasn't the head coach or the offensive or defense coordinator. He was more like, I would say, the consultant on their sideline. But on the Deion sideline of his team, he was the coach, and he had his assistants. Everybody had their headsets and people up in the booth. I said, man, this is for real, man. These guys and these kids could have been more than 12, 13 years old, maybe 14 at the most. But his son, Shedeur, was playing in that game. That's the first time I ever saw him play. And this kid had poise at that age. I mean, he was running the option, the fast run option. He was hitting guys over the middle. I mean, the same thing he's doing now, he was doing it in Pop Warner, and it was a great game. I mean, Snoop Dogg's son was the quarterback of his team, and man, it was back and forth, man. They would score each team, but then Deion's team finally got the turnover, and then they put the game with about 5 minutes left in the game. Deion Sanders' team pulled away and beat Snoop Dogg's team by, I believe it had to be by 10, maybe 14 points. It was a packed house, too, to see that game. And being on the sideline and listening to how Deion talked to the kids and pepped them up and was telling them what they were doing wrong and what they had to do. And, man, it was Eric Bieniemy style, man. It wasn't no, oh, man, son, sit down. Man, they were grabbing kids. Look, man, didn't I tell you what you got to do? If not, you ain't going back in the game, man. I mean, you got to give these kids tough love, man. You can't just sugarcoat stuff and make think everything going to be all right. I mean, they talk to their kids sternly, put those kids in position to win. After the game, both teams shook hands. Both teams, they had a dinner and everything for the teams right there. Had a nice picnic that we all were out there at. I mean, it was an excellent event. But to seeing Shedeur play at that early age at Pop Warner football and to see where he is now, man, I tell you, he's stuck with it. He's moved on, and he's definitely an NFL prospect, if not his junior year after this season, but definitely after his senior year. Because I think he'll probably stick on with his dad at Colorado and play his senior year there in Boulder to be with his dad. Because his dad is the only coach he ever had. So I think that's loyalty. And his brother and teammates and so forth. I think he made this stay there at Colorado for the 2 years to finish up his collegiate career. Because the young man is a special kid, nice kid, and they're very mannerable. I mean, we interviewed some of the kids after the game, and this was them, 13, 14 years old. But I mean, they're very mannerable young men at that age. So, and you see him, what you see of him today, that's what he was at that time period. Nice kid. Glad I had a chance to see them play Pop Warner football during that weekend. And they did that for a couple of years. Snoop Dogg came to the Super Bowl and played against other Pop Warner teams for maybe 2012 and 13, and then it ended after that. But that one was the special one against the Deion team there in Dallas. I always remember that.